Alright guys, so what I have here is probably the most blatant case of misleading VHS artwork. And who's the culprit? It is Magnum Entertainment. For the most part anyway. The title's not their fault, but everything else is. That would be The Night After Halloween. Now, if anyone has seen this on the shelf or see it, even a picture of it, maybe on eBay or anywhere else online, you would immediately think that this is a slasher ripoff of John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978. Even the title suggests that maybe it is a sequel to John Carpenter's Halloween. It says, "They thought it was over, but the real horror has begun. The Night After Halloween." Okay, we get it. It's probably another Halloween ripoff, and there are plenty of them. And I'd rather see ripoff, a blatant slash ripoff, than what you get in this. This is not a slasher movie. This is not even a horror movie. Even worse, it has nothing to do with Halloween. It gets even worse. It doesn't even take place in the fall. It takes place in the winter. This is a strange movie, and it could only get worse from here because there isn't even any killings in the movie. I mean, there's one murder, but it's not like psycho killer murder. It's not a slasher kind of murder. It's someone gets hit by a car. One guy accidentally gets burned to death. That's the only suspense in the movie. Pretty much the story is about this young girl. She's down on her luck, and she wants to save some money so she can leave the country. The movie takes place in Australia. She has this really obsessed boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, that keeps stalking her. He seems like a nice guy. He just can't get over her. He's not like what you would think to be a psycho slasher person. But someone comes to her with the proposition of her modeling. She's kind of like the innocent girl next door kind of girl, and she wants to take the opportunity to leave the country and explore the world, I guess. From there, she enters the world of modeling, and she meets a bunch of sleazy characters, sleazy businessmen, and that's pretty much the movie. That's the movie. It has nothing to do with Halloween. It's just a girl down on her luck who falls into this world of sleazy characters. That's the movie. Now, when I saw the title, well, after I watched the movie, I'm like, this has nothing to do with Halloween. I didn't think Magnum Entertainment would do such a thing. Just make a blatant, just make it so blatant, the misleading aspect of this. And, but I realized, I thought to myself, the day after Halloween. Well, that's the title of the VHS itself. Even though the box says The Night After Halloween, the title card of the movie is The Day After Halloween. I thought to myself, I've seen that somewhere else on a VHS. And I did, and that was 3 years prior to the release of this, was Catalina Home Video's release of The Day After Halloween, which is the same movie. So it wasn't Magnum Entertainment that came up with the Halloween name. It was probably the distributor, the US distributor of this movie. So I won't blame Magnum Entertainment for the name. All they did was change the word day into night, and that's a trivial matter. But the box, look at the box, has blood all over it. Big things of blood. It has a big butcher knife. And the back synopsis is so totally different than what the movie actually is, and that's what gets me the most. Not so much that it has nothing to do with Halloween, but even the back description is so worse. And I'm just going to go over it with you. We're going to read it a sentence at a time, and I'm just going to tell you why it has nothing to do with this movie. The back begins, she's young, she's successful, and she's deeply in love with a kill-crazed maniac. There's no reason to believe that any of the characters in this movie had ever killed anybody, or that they have the potential to kill anybody. I mean, there's that stalking boyfriend, but he seems like a decent guy. I mean, he just can't get over her. It goes on. Our heroine glides happily through life until she finds out that her perfect mate is indeed a carnal criminal. Our character is not in love with anybody. She doesn't even have a significant other. There isn't anybody she has a crush on or anything like that. In fact, she's not interested in a relationship at all in the movie. So there isn't a perfect mate for her in the movie, so I don't know what this box is talking about. Not satisfied with merely raping and killing, there is no raping and killing in this movie, not even a suggestion of it. I mean, there's the murder at the end, the guy gets hit by the car, but that's not the kind of psycho killing that I think of in a slasher movie. This psycho takes lurid photographs of his helpless female victims, among other things. Now, there is a photographer in the beginning of the movie that likes to take pictures of dead animals as a artsy kind of project, I guess. Pretty much, they're talking about a psycho killer. There is no psycho killer in this movie, and it says that he likes to take photographs of his helpless female victims. There isn't any helpless female victims being photographed in this movie. There's this one sleazy businessman that takes photographs of some girls, tries to get them to go nude and take pictures of them. But he's not the same guy as the guy taking pictures of the dead animals, so the back of the box is mixing everything up. When she stumbles upon his secret den of kinky collector's items, there is no kinky den of collector's items. And who is he? Who is this he that they're talking about? I still don't know who he is. Her love turns into utter horror and desperation. Once again, she didn't have love for anybody in this movie. She's the next target, and yet no one will believe her, despite her persuasive gathering of evidence. There is no gathering of evidence. She doesn't have to persuade anybody of anything, because there is no killer, just a boyfriend that stalks her once in a while. As time runs short, she is eventually lured into one of his more ingenious and lethal traps. Only the strongest will survive. There really isn't a trap. I mean, at the end of the movie, one of the sleazy guy who keeps trying to take her nude pictures, he traps her in a room and forces her to get nude so he can take pictures with her. And it really isn't a trap. She goes there to run from or hide from the boyfriend who's been stalking her. Pretty much what happens there is that the guy gets set on fire and she escapes. And who's waiting for her but her crazy ex-boyfriend? I guess she's kind of glad that he's there now because she needs him to protect her from this weird guy with the camera. And once she gets out, she realizes, oh, I don't want to be with my ex-boyfriend. I got to run from him now. And he gets hit by his ice cream truck. Yeah, he stalks her in an ice cream truck throughout the whole movie. It's kind of funny, actually. But the person who hits him in his own ice cream truck is the woman that gave Angela, our model, the job in the first place, the original modeling job. Now, in the beginning of the movie, in the opening credits, there's like a fire. And at first you're like, okay, there's this fire in the beginning of the movie. And then when you get to the end of the movie, you're like, I've seen this somewhere. And then you realize that the opening credits is the end of the movie. It's just a weird way they did things. Like during the credits roll in the beginning of the movie, you see scenes from the fire. And you actually see some of the characters. It's like you're seeing the end of the movie in the beginning of the movie first. Which just struck me as odd. I don't know why anybody would do that. Because you do see some of the characters. It kind of gives away a little bit. Also, during the opening credits, what they did is they took the widescreen transfer and they squished it, I guess, to keep the credits in the frame. But after the credits, pretty much what they did is do a pan and scan full screen. And the pan and scan is pretty bad, you can kind of tell. And I usually don't like pan and scan because it's a way of redirecting the movie. But if you're going to do a full screen release for a VHS, then you have no option but to do pan and scan because not all the information is right in the middle of the frame in widescreen. So sometimes you have to do a pan scan to go show the audience more information on the edges of the film frame. It's an interesting movie, don't get me wrong, but it's a drama movie. So if you have the patience to watch a drama movie, it's not that bad. All the people involved in this movie were experienced actors. Pretty good acting, pretty good filmmaking. It's a drama, though. It's a thriller, and I don't have a problem with that. I just have a problem with marketing it as anything to do with Halloween. There isn't even a jack-o'-lantern. Like I said, it doesn't even take place in the fall. It takes place in the winter. Because there is a reference to it being winter in the movie. It doesn't get suspenseful until maybe the last 15 minutes of the movie. That's when you could really get into it, I guess, if you're into this kind of thing. And just, if you ever see it, don't expect a slasher movie first. Secondly, anything to do with Halloween, because it's not. The original title of the movie is Snapshot, and which is a much more appropriate movie title because it has to do with photography, about modeling. So this is a blatant attempt to profit or cash in on John Carpenter's success. And I don't know how they got away with it. From suggesting that it's a sequel almost, to the fonts of the title card. It's just so blatant, and I don't see how Magnum would do something like that because they were a pretty decent VHS distributor, one of the bigger ones. I expect this kind of thing with smaller companies. For instance, like with Meat Cleaver Massacre, a movie that had neither a massacre or a meat cleaver in it. But at least the original movie poster had a meat cleaver in it, right? But it had no meat cleaver in it. This is worse. It doesn't even take place on Halloween. It's not a slasher movie, and it's a drama. It takes place in the winter, not even the fall. So, interesting case here. So this has been Paul with another VHS review. Keep a lookout for others. Good night.
Tell me, Dr. Will, what's the matter with me? I think I must have gone and caught a rare disease. Every time my baby holds her hand in mine, I get a funny feeling running down my spine. My hands and legs are shaking, start hallucinating. My hips begin to quiver, man, it's such a strange sensation, man. I can't stop rock and rolling, oh yeah, oh no.